Welcome back to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for staying with us. Well, part of the reason I wanted to focus on housing on this episode is a message I received from a local senior citizen. He's disabled, living on a fixed income, and he just learned that his apartment complex is raising his rent by hundreds of dollars a month. He can't afford the increase, so he has to move. But there aren't a lot of options for cheaper housing in our area, and he doesn't know where to go. So I looked into it. I learned that there are a lot of stories like this one, but there are people who want to help, and I'm sitting with two of them now. Amy Jones and Michonne Hurst are here with me from the Reno Housing Authority. Thank you both so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so for those who haven't reached out for housing help, they might not be familiar with the organization. So do you guys kind of want to give me a little lowdown on what you do?
Yes, the Reno Housing Authority administers the Housing Choice Voucher Program and public housing. All of our funding that we receive comes federally through the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And unfortunately, those funds continue to be cut and we are not receiving enough funds. So we do offer the voucher program where we're able to assist approximately 2,500 families in our community and then also 750 public housing residents in our public housing units.
Yeah, and you guys have completely filled up, right?
Correct.
You have no more room, even on the waiting list is closed.
Correct, and I'll let Michonne.
Our waiting list is closed. We have over 7,000 households on our waiting list applying for Section 8, public housing, project-based vouchers, and our funding does not meet the demand, unfortunately, but we continue to move people off of the waiting list, so we're constantly referring people to affordable housing and providing them that assistance.
Okay, so just to give people an idea of how much times have changed, I'm curious, is this always been the case that it's been not enough funding to meet the need, or is this a new problem, or has it just gotten worse?
What we're seeing is we have continued to receive less and less funding through HUD. And as far as the housing concern, there's not enough units in our community, and we're seeing those rents increase drastically for the families that are participating in our programs. So they're having a hard time finding units that meet their voucher amount, and they're also having a hard time staying in units and finding landlords because landlords are increasing the rents and they're not participating in our programs.
Yeah, now I know you mentioned when we spoke before that you guys have a certain amount of money that you can give people basically to help them fill the gap between what they can afford for their rent and what they have to pay, at least temporarily, until they find something that's a little bit more affordable. And with the increase in rental costs, that money also being cut, but is also not stretching as far. You can help fewer people because the gap is bigger.
That's correct. As the rents increase, we're not able to help as much. And the guidelines that we have to use with HUD is about, there's a two-year delay on the rents that we're looking at. And so our families are not able to find units that fall within that voucher amount. And we're trying to increase that as much as we can through the guidelines, but we're still not able to keep up with what the rents are doing.
Do you have a ballpark figure for how many people you help versus how many would qualify and need your help?
Well, we have 7,000 people on our waiting list right now, so that's kind of a good ballpark figure of people who've asked us for help. But with our waiting list being closed, it's hard to say how many people did not get on the list. And one of the reasons we close the list is not to give that false hope. So we try to serve as many people as we can off the list and work those files and those families and refer those to housing as quickly as we possibly can.
7,000 people. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's way more people than I thought on a waiting list. And yeah, like you said, not even including the people who can't get on the waiting list. So we're talking easily at least 10,000, possibly more people in our community who are struggling to find housing they can afford.
Correct.
Where do these people go? What happens?
That's a good question. There are resources in the community. We work with community partners. The Housing Authority has established partners with a number of agencies to help refer families through Community to Aid Abused Women, Northern Nevada Hopes. So we're working with partnering agencies to help refer some of these families more quickly to some of our units, as well as we work with the City of Reno with deposit assistance and those types of programs. So we encourage individuals to contact our agency, and although our wait list is closed, we can still refer them to other resources in the community and get them connected.
Okay, so don't despair. If they need help, they still should reach out, and you might be able to do something for them.
Absolutely.
And even running out of money, I know you mentioned before that you do work with landlords to try to prevent these negative situations like people being evicted, right? How do you do that?
We have recently created a landlord incentive program. So we want more landlords to participate in our program, and we want to retain landlords to participate in our program. So we have offered this program that we're providing information to those landlords, also offering incentives for them to be on our program and have our residents living in their units. So we're able to offer them more funding if someone moves out of a unit or is evicted or things like that. We sent out a survey and we asked those landlords what were the reasons why they didn't want to participate in the program, and we addressed those needs in this program with them. So we're trying to retain those landlords, keep them on the program, and help our community to have more units.
Are you hearing from them that their costs are also going up, so they feel the need to increase rent? Or is it that this is an opportunity in a competitive market for them to make more money? You can't fault them in a business climate for that.
It's more so that it's a competitive market and they can get more for their units.
That's hard.
It is.
It's hard to argue with that, definitely. Okay, so what else? What else can we tell people that's solution based? What can they do?
So other areas that the Housing Authority is trying to help in this situation, in this crisis, is we are looking to develop some affordable units on RHA-owned properties. So we are moving forward at putting some senior units, senior housing. So we're in the very early stages, but we want to add more housing stock to the community. As I mentioned before, we also have started our landlord incentive program to entice those landlords to participate in our programs. The partnerships that we have with nonprofits, those are all areas that we're trying to help with the community and give more resources. We also created a homeless prevention program. So we're able to assist in certain circumstances if someone is facing an eviction. So if someone is facing that eviction, we may be able to help pay the rent to keep them in their unit rather than put them out on the street and have them try to find another unit.
Do you see the possibility that your HUD money will get renewed, or is it being cut the new normal?
That's the new normal. So we're seeing cuts to the voucher program, to our administrative fees. We're hearing that the CDBG funds and home funds are going to be cut as well. And so that all impacts programs that we're administering. And it's continued year after year, so we aren't seeing any new funding sources through those programs.
When did the cuts start?
2008.
Okay, so it's been happening for a long time.
Yes.
That's tough.
Yes.
Okay, it's really unfortunate to hear, especially because it's such a crunch here, and maybe it's not happening everywhere nationwide. Are you hearing that other cities are in better positions than we are?
Actually, it's quite contrary. The Bay Area, for example, they're very close to us. We get a lot of applicants from the Bay Area because the rents down there are out of control, even more so than the local area. A one-bedroom apartment will go for $2,500 down there, and that's not affordable for somebody on a fixed income. And so we do see a lot of applicants come up from the Bay Area looking for affordable housing. And one of the things that we've done locally is we've done a local preference. So if you live and reside in Washoe County or you work in Washoe County, you get preference over somebody that's applying from outside the area. But across the country, Oakland, Washington, D.C., all of their housing authorities are facing the same cuts, the same crisis with budgets, the same rising rents, and they can't keep up with demand.
Okay, we've got a couple minutes left, and I do want to touch on this very briefly, but are you guys in favor of rent control? It's not something we have here.
That is a difficult subject. But what we're seeing with our families and the rents increasing and they're not able to keep up with it, we can't keep up with the demand. So I think we need to see some type of rent control for our area.
Okay. And then finally, with the last minute, is there any way the community can help you if they see this and want to help?
I think landlords who want to further the mission of affordable housing, and you have to think about the type of people that we serve. We serve veterans, we serve the elderly, we serve disabled, we serve families, and without stable housing, without a stable roof over their head, children have difficulty in school, you have additional health issues, and our veterans can't find housing. And so property owners who have properties, keeping the rents reasonable for locals in this area is immensely helpful, and keeping those units on the market at a reasonable rate. And the supply and demand is a tough topic, but the affordability is even a bigger issue.
Okay, 30 seconds left. Any final thoughts?
You know, we understand the challenges that the families participating in our programs, the families in our community are facing, and we want to help. And so we are looking at working with local jurisdictions to come up with creative housing solutions.
Alrighty, thank you both so much. That's it for us. We will see you next week.